Hi everyone, welcome to our Wednesday meditation gathering. I'm so glad you're all here to share this time together. This week we have Libby McArthur to lead us in meditation, and then we'll have 20 minutes of silence. After that, we'll open it up for sharing, and we'll end at 10:45. Over to you, Libby.
Hi, thank you, Dan, thank you, Sharon. So yeah, just feeling very blessed to be in a conversation with like-minded Course in Miracles students. So that's just so grateful for that. Thank you so much. I was saying to Dan earlier on, in terms of actually bringing forward an idea that we can embrace for our meditation, absolutely any page on the book will do it for me. You know, any sentence, any phrase. But there has been an idea that's been percolating all this week, so I feel guided to kind of put that out for us all to just kind of mull over and ponder and hold and embrace while we're doing our meditation. And it's basically on the subject of, I have this bad press amongst my fellow Course in Miracles students in Glasgow, and it's that I'm very judgmental or too harsh. And it happens quite often when someone is saying, you know, this is really difficult, this book, this is really challenging, and I totally agree that we are leading edge students here. This is the kind of thing. It's said that it'll be 500 years before the Course in Miracles commonplace, so we're forerunners. I get that, but for me, the book is unequivocal in what it's saying, and I don't think you can cherry pick the Course. There's a great old Scottish word, tapsultire, and I really believe when the Course tells us 180 degrees different in our thinking is what's required. And tapsultire means topsy-turvy. It just means the opposite of. So when people are saying to me and amongst my fellow course students in Glasgow, you know, oh, you've been it's hard, it's, you know, I hear that they're fighting for their limitations, you know. So it's a bit of me that kind of wants to say, you know, if we honestly understood what the Course was telling us, then the backdrop of already anyway always innocence would be enough for us to embrace any shadow, which is an illusion, that shows up. So, for example, one of the things that was sent to me recently, which was in anybody's books, sounds like a sweet thing. It says, I hope you are receiving when it matters most. We are told we are tested, but then when we are, truly, as I have been tested recently, our learning has to go deeper and we become stronger. But I think we're all allowed to say it's not easy. Now, that sounds like a sweet thing to receive, but I don't believe we're being tested. I believe we're being gifted over and over and over and over again, and it's actually about our resistance. So I don't think there's an off-planet God that's kind of setting traps, booby prizes, you know, booby traps for us. I think we're the guy that goes for the booby prize. So there's two things that the Course says, which I always go back to. One is beware the temptation to perceive yourself as unfairly treated. It's the only time in the whole big tome the word beware is used, and I love the word beware because it's like Grimm's fairy tales, beware. So it's not an accident that the Holy Spirit, Jesus, has used the word beware, because it's so tempting to perceive ourselves as unfairly treated. We kind of love it. We kind of go, ha, they've taken the bad look off me when they cut me up the road, or, you know, so to acknowledge almost with a sense of fun that it's really tempting to perceive yourself as unfairly treated all the time, but it's just an ego trick. You know, we cannot be crucified unless we choose to be. We cannot, and I think that's what the crucifixion is really about, is Jesus saying, look guys, we are not bodies, you know, we are not a body with a soul, we are souls in this crazy experience, this crazy mad idea. And the other phrase from the Course that I repeat to myself is, I am as God created me. It's the only lesson that shows up twice, and it's the most oft repeated phrase in the whole book. I am as God created me. I then follow that on with already, anyway, always, just to make myself laugh. So I just want us to try and offer a glimpse. That word came up a lot. I usually call it a Bristol kid whiff. That's me showing my age. I was 60 the other day. A Bristol kid whiff, a glimpse of the truth of who we are, which is just love itself. Not lost, not inadequate, not unloved, not separate. You know, we are literally already, anyway, always having never left the garden, love itself. And if we could just try and glimpse that, because that's all we're going to manage. Because, you know, if you speak of the Tao, it's not the Tao you speak of. You know, the Course says it can't teach love. Of course we can't house it, but we could try acceptance of ourselves. And one of the things I want to leave you with, because I'm sure Sharon's going to ring the bell any minute now, is that one of the surefire ways I think of knowing that you're in self-compassion is that everyone else is off the hook. So for me, that's the key. The key is that when the Course talks about illusions, as it does all over today's lesson, you know, it talks about ideas not leaving their source, and it's us that bring in the pain, it's us that bring in the projection. So these projections that we have outside of ourselves, that folk are, you know, it's difficult because we have got nemesis and we have got persecutors and we have got people that want to do us down, and we have, these are actually all projections. But another word for projections is illusions. So it's just think about them as candy floss. You know, it's our attachment to the idea that we can perceive ourselves as unfairly treated, when how could we ever be unfairly treated, you know? So we're the guys that are bringing all this to the party. We're the guys. So it's all about forgiving the world, forgiving our illusions, forgiving our projections, forgiving ourselves, and don't forget to laugh, which I think is a huge thing, because none of it's real. So taking back, it's all Hector Projector, take back the projection. And the way that you know that you're doing it is when you're in self-compassion, the first thing you experience is everyone is off the hook. So I'd like to make our meditation self-compassion dedicated to the care of others, for us to become teachers of God and transform any fear that we have towards acceptance, which I think is as much as we can do towards understanding what love is just accept it all. Yeah. And I know that illusions are in effect as real as if they're truth, and I know that we think love equals sacrifice, and that we don't quite believe we can just get away with it, just loving ourselves without showing up a certain way or having to be a certain thing. Anyway, I think it's enough to be getting on with, to just take back that projection that our persecutors are out there. Yeah. So self-compassion as a favour to everybody else. That's the theme. So if we just want to maybe put our hands in our hearts and just know that it's impossible to have a grievance and be in gratitude. I love when the Course gets really simple like that. You know, it's gratitude alone that will remind us of who we are. So I'm very grateful to be with you guys this morning. Thank you so much for being here, and let's have our meditation. God bless.
Open your eyes slowly and come back into the room. We have approximately 17 minutes left for sharing your reflections and questions. If you'd like to speak, raise your hand, or you can use the reaction button at the bottom of the screen. Also, you can use, at the bottom of participants, there's a button that says raise hand. You can use that as well. And if you'd like to ask a question or comment, Libby in confidentiality, write it in the comment section at the bottom, and I'll read that in the chat function. And I'll read it out. Okay, over. Okay. Linda, go ahead.
Libby,
Hi, Linda.
I'm just so absolutely amazed at seeing grievances with gratitude. That was my biggest thing. I absolutely amazed at seeing it differently.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely over the moon. I'm in the middle of selling my house, and it looks tidy. It's the tidiest and cleanest it's looked to me. But the more I thought, I'll just do the cooker again. And the deeper I go, the dirtier it got.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, well, it's all clean now. And I'm thinking, now I'm absolutely thrilled to bits. And the man next door hasn't lived there for like 4 years. He had a stroke, and then he went and lived with his sister, and I've hardly seen him. His trees are all overgrown coming over in my garden, as we know, don't we, Kirsty? And the front of his garden, it's an old Victorian house, not a big, only a little bit of garden-y thing. It's all overgrown. So I thought, perhaps that's why I'm not selling it. I'll give him a text and ask him if I can tidy his front garden.
Uh-huh.
Immediately he came back, yeah, that would be brilliant.
A win-win.
And then I said, can you do something about the trees? And he said, yes, I'll phone my tree man. That's the third time he said that. We'll see. But it looks brilliant out there. And I'm thinking, from my grievance of his garden,
yeah,
I'm now joining with him. I feel like I've connected with him in a very loving way.
Linda, this is wonderful.
You don't know where it leads, do you?
It's so great because it's the absolute opposite of, circumstances have conspired against me and the victimhood mentality,
That's right.
It's like, I've just listened to a book called The Obstacle is the Way about the Stoics. I love the Stoics. Always sounds like a New York bird that brings the baby, a Stoic. But when we have the course as our guide, then it's like we cannot just go, oh, there's gold in them, their hills, we get to turn it around. We get to kind of go, oh, bring on the next hurdle, bring on the next hurdle, and I don't believe in a tricky God that's kind of throwing things in our path. It's literally with a miracle mindedness, we can see everything is not just up for forgiveness, but it's up for actually using. It's up for actually kind of going, like, how can I use this to turn it around? How can I use this? So it's so wonderful that you've got that, Linda. I'm so pleased, because it's a simple way to look at it is to say you cannot be in gratitude and have a grievance. They cancel each other out, like love and fear. But an even much more sophisticated way of looking at it, which you've done, Linda, is to say your grievance leads you into the next piece of gratitude. If you work with it, if you kind of go, right, what's this? Of course, everything's for forgiveness. What is this for? Ask anything of the world, what is this for? And the answer is always forgiveness. Always, 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 always. Thank you so much, Linda. I got that.
Okay, who'd like to ask a question? Terry.
Hey, Terry. Hiya.
Cheers, Dan. Right, Libby, before you started, before it was recorded, I heard you say that I'm a socialist. I am a socialist, is what you said. And, I'm saying this without judgment, by the way, because, my politics are left of centre as well. And then when you started the session, officially, you know, you said, I am as God created me. So in terms of cause and effect, does that make God a socialist? You know, and isn't it interesting that, you know, with Scottish independence, all the rest of it, and here in the Northeast, we've had a shift to the Conservatives in working class seats and what have you, that's, you know, beggars belief in my opinion, my prism of the world anyway. Because when I was a kid growing up, the first thing that got me inspired into politics was reading The Grapes of Wrath by John Steinbeck, because the whole thread of that was injustice. And yet the Course in Miracles is all about turning it on its head, if you like.
Yeah.
But I think there is a balance to be had, in as much as we have to find a way of being in the world where we don't overlook injustice and its effects. If an old lady's being mugged in the street and we just walk past her, affirming that it's not real, it's all illusion and everything, we wouldn't be doing anybody a service. So what's your way then, Libby?
I've got so much to say about that, Terry, and I've got these guys at the door who are going to fix a drain. I'm going to send them away. Please bear with me. God, typical, isn't it, that they come just at the time? And so, yeah. So, Terry, I think the thing for me is that, as I said, illusions are in effect as real as the truth. So, you know, the Tory affects us. Obviously, talking politics and A Course in Miracles study group meditation has got its downfalls. But I think it's, for me, all about the projection. It's all about the projection. So I try to remember that everybody is doing the best that they know how, and that includes the folk that I vilify, like Boris Johnson or Trump, or, you know. So it's always Hector Projector. You're always having to understand that people are where they're at. You know, one of the things I read this morning when I did my it says here, I offer you my perfect faith in you in place of all your doubts, but forget not that my faith must be as perfect in all your brothers as it is in you, or it would be a limited gift to you. In the holy instant, we share our faith in God's Son because we recognise together that he is wholly worthy of it. And in our appreciation of his worth, we cannot doubt his holiness, and so we love him. And I'm not able to do that, but what I'm able to do is understand that it's the way, Terry. So as much as I do think that because the illusions are in effect as real, then it's important to understand that our projections not just vilify people, but they also reduce them. So when I look at a poor, sorry soul, I kind of leave them godless, and I think, oh, what they need is me to come in and help them, because I wish everybody was as enlightened as I am, you know. And it's really important to take back our projection, even when we think we're looking at a situation that we kind of go, oh, that's a sorry shame. You know, it's not an accident that Byron Katie had her moment lying on the floor with a beetle crossing our Eckhart Tolle on a bench, or Nelson Mandela dubbed up in a prison cell in Robben Island. You know, we have no idea folks' journeys. All we can do is remember that we're looking at the face of Christ. You know, remember that we're looking at the divine spark, whether it's the bad guy who's doing it to the poor wee soul, or the poor wee soul, you know. As someone who had a tiny wee taste of celebrity, it's very easy for us to think about the shadow being projected on people, but people also project the divine spark. That's why I always think it's important to start with self-compassion, because then you have half a chance of understanding our projections on others, you know.
Okay, who'd like to share something? Raise your hand.
Hi, it's Kirsty here. Sorry, did someone raise their hand, or can I go?
Go ahead, Kirsty.
Hi, Kirsty.
Hi, Libby. I just wanted to share a dream I had or early hours of this morning that was so incredibly informative about projection and grievance and victimhood. One of the ways that Holy Spirit communicates with me is through dreams. And I dreamt that I died, and it took me a while to realise that I died. And the only person who came to greet me was a cleaning lady I used to have before I moved away, who cleaned for me for about 10 years. And I've never, ever held a grievance against this cleaning lady because she was the biggest support of my life. And she was the only person who came to greet me. And I was in this full victimhood with my cleaning lady, saying, oh God, no one else has come to greet me. You really are the only one who's come. It's absolutely typical. Nobody else can be bothered. And she said, no, I'm the only person who's able to come and greet you because I'm the only one who you haven't got a grievance against. And it was such a clear dream that, you know, it's all these people who I think are unfairly treating me and who I think are my enemies. It's actually, it's myself who is putting this barrier up against these people by my own, as you say, Hector protector, my own grievances. It was such an incredibly, it's not clear to me as I go about my daily life that I'm doing this, but in my dreams or in meditation, it's very clear. Yeah, I just thought I'd share that.
You know, my friend who's basically kind of, you know, shaking her fist at me saying, you know, you're not being supportive because, I believe she's fighting for her limitations, and what happens is you get to keep them. Kirsty, there's another way, of course, to look at the dream, which I love, which is that everyone in the dream is you. So I love the fact that it took a while for you to realise you were dead, you know, because it's that thing of, you know, there's all these mini deaths all day long, all life long, where we reject our brother and therefore ourselves, you know, and these are all we kind of, you know, missed moments, you know, these are all these we kind of, you know, petty more. But the cleaning lady, of course, is to do with yourself as a Course in Miracles student. You know, that's what you're doing, you're cleaning up, you know. And one of the things I love about the course is it doesn't leave anything, there's no spillage, it's all mopped up, you know, there is nowhere to hide with the course, it's clean as a whistle, you know. Everything is about accountability, and the only way that we can hear accountability in the way that it's about atonement and not about blame or making wrong is with the backdrop of the innocence that the course offers us. We are love. You know, so the cleaning lady's you doing your Course in Miracles work, and of course it's the only thing to do, Kirsty, so that's why she's the only one to meet you, because there's nothing else to do but this work.
Nice interpretation.
Okay, John, would you like to say something?
Yeah, just thank you, Dan. Yeah, thank you, Libby. It was wonderful to see you again. I hadn't seen you before the last time when you were on, but what I love is the humour. I so love the humour, Libby. And I've come to view the world we're in as almost a cosmic comedy club.
Yes,
and then we can choose, I can choose at any time whether to be a member of the club or a literary critic in the audience. And that's just a little analogy I use. And the other thing I love was reminding about the power of the words I am. You know, when I really realized the power of the words I am, I became very, very conscious of what I said after the words I am. And I kept getting this vision in the meditation of the experiment that they did in a school in America, where they took 12 of the brightest students and explained to them and their parents that they thought they needed some more assistance to take them to a better level. And then they took another group of 12 students who were notoriously underachieving, and they all thought, and they told their parents that they were putting them in a special elitist class in order to realize their tremendous potential, which they're obviously showing, blah, 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 blah. And they did this for a year, and after a year, their grades and everything else completely reverted. So to me, that was a massive physical example of the power of perception, of how we were seeing people.
Yeah. Which leads beautifully from what Kirsty was saying, which is, you know, really, you know, we have all the power to make it real. You know, whatever's coming our way, you know, and you know what people think of is their karma, and what we think of ourselves as ours. You know, it's you know, when I'm working with the kids, I always go, what other people think of you is none of your business, you know, and they can all laugh, you know, or I get the wee boys to go, I'd rather be the bashed than the basher. I'd rather be the bashed than the basher. Not because I want any of these wee guys to get bashed, just because, you know, that there's more chance of you surviving. You know, the thing about the villain is without it being addressed, there's the kind of sense of, if you believe in your own villainy, then the trouble is you're going to justification, you know. I look at Israel and Palestine. I could hardly watch the news last night, and I think, you know, I'd rather be a Palestinian than an Israeli, which sounds a crazy thing to say, but it's so hard for us to get out of this crazy world's projections when we justify ourselves over and over and over, you know. It's like, yeah. So yeah, the I am stuff, there really is only one word after that, isn't there? I am love.
Okay, everyone, we've come to the end of our meditation. Take yourself off of mute and show your appreciation for Libby. That was wonderful.
Thank you, Libby.
Thank you, Libby.
Thank you, Libby.
Thank you, Libby.
Wonderful. So good
Yeah,
to
hopefully
see you.
next week. Lots of love to you.
Bye.
Bye.